Hey there, boys, girls, the YouTube world. Today, the Duff Dog and I are going to see if we can't get this 1934 Chevrolet farm truck running for the first time in 4, 5, 6, 7 decades. I picked this thing up like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's been sitting on back, waiting its turn patiently to get in the shop here. I've been excited about this thing, but we just couldn't fit it in the schedule. I found this thing on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody had posted it. Somebody was going to start restoring it. Long story short, you know how it goes. We showed up. It was nice out. The grass was green. We loaded this thing up. So we finally got this thing in the shop. Let's take a look at it. So the reason I know it's a 34 is because the way that it is. And also because I got a title with this one, and it says 1934. When I bought it said that it had a title. Went to go pick it up. They said, well, here's a picture of the title. And I said, so where's the title? We can't find it. And I said, I can't take a picture of the title to the DMV, but long story short, they found the title. They got it to me. So I'm thankful for that. This 33, 34, 35, even 36 Chevy trucks are all similar. They do have chrome grills. This is just kind of your standard grill. The Chevys got these pot metal or aluminum headlight stands. They got steel in the middle. They got the hole for the crank down here, and they always get hogged out in the grill. These emblems are usually pretty pitted up. We got a few of these grills hanging on the wall. They're a good looking grill. Fenders on trucks get beat up pretty bad. We're probably not gonna be able to drive this thing if we do get it running, because these tires are absolutely wasted. I don't believe we have anything that'll interchange. Do you, Duff? Get a good stretch in there. The back ones look like they're, I don't know if they're holding there, but they're holding the truck up. I am not an expert on Chevrolets. I'm not an expert on anything, but I know a lot about Fords compared to the Chevrolets. But I know that there should not be a nail for a door pin. This one's missing the door pin. That one's there. But my uncle used to call these things termite castles because there's a lot of wood in them. What is that? Weights 14,000 and 1,000? Oh man, I wish it was still labeled what it was. They got tip out windshield, cowl vent, gull-wing hood. Headlights are missing. I feel like he gave them to us. Do you remember where we put those? Got a little lead in the fender. Somebody used some screws to patch that fender up. Rust in the cowl, pretty typical. They got this cool double belt line right here in the cowl. That's how I always identify these Chevrolets, and I think it's cool how they got these two separate belt lines there. And then they made a high cab and a low cab in 35 anyway, so I'm guessing this is a low cab, which I think is more sexy. Right, Duff? Check her out. Like I said, termite castles. The door shell is wood, or is steel, and it's nailed. You can see all the nails there to a wood structure. And then the inside, oh, the glass is even in there. Yeah, a lot of wood in these things. Leather door check strap. This must be your door handle and door lock. Looks like we're missing the top part of the window garnishing because it was probably attached to wood that's no longer there. Same deal with the back of the cab. The B-pillar is all wood. A lot of times when you find these things, they're just a pile of steel and the wood is gone, because the wood is the structure, unfortunately. And one of the first ones to go is this one around the top right there, and that's what holds the roof piece to the back of the cab. So I'm glad this one made the ride home, aren't you, Duff? Looks like it's got probably a 3-speed transmission. It's got the e-brake lever on the side. Looks like it's got 88,000 miles. No key. We're gonna have to hot wire the 6-volt ignition. Looks like it had a horn button on the steering column. Some cans behind the seat. What are they for, Duff? Are they hauling water? Spray? Wood preservative. Apparently they didn't use it in time, huh, Duff? Guess not. Looks like the mirror got busted. Fuel tank under the seat. Yeah, good stuff. Old Prestone jug. Oh, check out that Firestone heater up there. She's all rotted out of the bottom, but the old Harvey Firestone F is still in good shape. Some of these old heaters were pretty neat. These things didn't come factory with heaters, so you had to buy them aftermarket. Firestone apparently was one of the heater suppliers. There's a bunch of them. Mechanical brakes, it's just a rod going from the lever to all the brake shoes. This would be your reverse overlock or override lever. I'm guessing that switch was probably for the heater. Blower motor fan. Vacuum wiper up there. Yeah, pretty plain Jane. No seat. I'm guessing that was the glass that fell down there. Got the corner busted out. Hey, there's the window garnishing. Looks like we're missing the back garnishing on that side, but maybe it's in here somewhere. Who knows? Pretty crude. Foot starter, you can see, push that button and that'll engage the starter down there. Hopefully we get to using that. And there's the gas pedal, just that little peg of a button down there. It's got, oh, I don't know, a 12-foot bed here, all wood, with a little bit of steel on the end, and then they cap it off with steel to kind of keep it from splitting. Surprisingly, the bed isn't in too bad a shape. It's got the heavy service Ward Riverside power grip. Look at these things. The old knobbies, literally. Knobs, they're like suction cups, Duff. Overload springs, even the frame of the bed, all wood. It's got a little bit of angle iron and some square bolts and nuts holding her together. He did have another piece of property that he was cleaning up. He had some iron laying around, so I bought some iron from him because we can always use that for projects. And then they had some chains and then a steel rod, and then one of these steel rods tying the bed sides together so they didn't bow out. Same thing here. Would have had an end gate on the back end for taking out and shoveling all your grain out. These things did not have hoists usually. Yeah, this one is solid. So sometimes the elevator, they'd hook on the front axle and tip the whole truck up. And then if you dump that home, you had to shovel it all out by hand. But it was still better than having to go behind horses to do it. No tag back here, so we don't know when it was parked. I'm guessing probably in the 50s, 60s. Just based on experience with dealing with junk like this, and when they got outdated, and the vintage that those tires are, and the shape that everything is in. They didn't get a long service life out of these things, like I said, between the wood rattling apart and everything else. The steering gear appears to be frozen, so it was fun steering it in here. Yeah, what do you think, Duff? Rod in this cowl. The roof, they would climb on that to like put the tarp over the top of the box, or just kids being kids. A little dent in the door there. But yeah, the roof's, oh, that one's just one big dent that might come out. Back of the cabs on trucks that had dump beds always got beat up. I bet the back of this cab is almost pristine. I say that after I find these cracks, but usually they're in good shape when they don't dump. When they dump, and especially when they're a gravel box, they got beat to heck. You don't find the glass in 90-year-old trucks. Can you believe that, Duff? This thing's 90 years old. All right, let's get into it. Chevy 6s, I think, shooting from the hip, don't know, 29 they came out, maybe? Before that it was 4 cylinders. I don't know a lot about these. I think they call them a 194. It looks like it's got the old Carter W1 cast iron carburetor on it. I'm sure it's seized up. And there's our vacuum for our wipers. Just single exhaust, no power steering, no power brakes, no air conditioning. Here's our oil fill tube. Here is the dipstick, Jimmy. I'm guessing this is the oil pump. Oh my gosh. That looks like some nice clean oil, actually. You might be in luck. Got the old honeycomb radiator. No flexi hose. It's just a straight hose up there though, so we can maybe replace that if we get to that point. Air cleaner's on it, hood was on it. That's always a plus. And then somebody put some plastic, so somebody was taking care of this thing. They are an overhead valve 6. I don't think Chevrolet ever had a flathead 6 or a flathead 4 that I'm aware of. Everything was always overhead valve, but maybe way back in the day they had a flathead. Back in the teens. The old hood needs a little lube. Or I think we're just gonna take it right off. You wanna catch that for me? Or are you just gonna run? Yeah, I would run too. Good news is we got a whole truck bed we can fill up. Probably gonna wanna put some coil on that. So this is like a piano hinge. There's just a rod going through here. And the best way to get these out is to hook your drill to the end and then spin it as you pull it out. They come right out. Looks like it even had a nice little pinstripe going down that body line back in the day. These trucks were pretty classy. Another beauty of having a truck, you got a whole bed to fill full of hoods and parts and steel for fabricating and whatnot. So these early 6s, unlike the 235s, have this whole side cover. It goes all around the spark plugs and all the way down to here. And these are Babbitt bearing engine, which means they don't have bearing inserts. And they got a lot of stove bolts, flathead screws, holding them together. Plugs are all there. Cap is there. Plug wires are there. Where's the coil? Oh, there it is, mounted up on the firewall. Nobody stole that yet. What are the odds? Man, look at these heater hoses. Just sad. Fuel pumps down there. It's got the sediment bowl on the back side of her. Oh, yeah. The lower radiator hose rotted right off of the radiator. Must have been a flexi hose in there somewhere. So, man, this thing must have had some nasty chemicals or something in the radiator. I've never seen the whole bottom of the radiator rot off, but maybe it had a cast iron. Oh yeah, they got cast iron fittings, so that must have been what happened. So, oh, this is these are road flares. You screw this wing nut out, and there's 3 separate cans here, and you would fill those with probably kerosene, I would imagine, and then you know, if your Chevrolet or whatever break down while you were seeing the USA, you take those out. You take your matches. Speaking of matches, get your matches at mortske.com. We got ball caps, we got banners, we got sweatshirts, magnetic screwdrivers, can koozies, you name it, we got it. And check this out. If you buy a banner this week, you're gonna get thrown in the hat to get that lug nut guys banner. Not because we're cutting ties with the lug nut guys. Yeah, I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. I should move to Pot County. But because, check this out. They got a new banner. Oh, Mike Yaps drew this up for him. Torque your nuts, lugnutguys.com. Use promo code Mortske and you get free shipping on, what is it, up to 35 bucks, something like that. And then use promo code DECL and they'll send a decal with your order. Hopefully it's the one with the cool Mike Yaps drawing. But anyway, if you order a banner, I think these are the 2 banners we got right now. Order one of the lowlife or the blue ones. I like the blue ones. Those things are good. I'll throw you in the drawing and you can have my old lug nut guys banner. So you get 2 for 1. It's a BOGO. Buy one, get one free from the lug nut guys. What was I saying? Oh yeah, matches. Yeah, you take these things out, set them on the side of the road, light a match. And that was road flares back in the day. The pre-LED lights and GPS days. Let's pull some spark plugs out. Peek down a cylinder hole. We can't turn it over by the fan because the generator is missing. So we don't have a way to tension the belt. And I don't have a crank to crank it over by hand. So let's pull some plugs out, see how they look. Maybe we'll peek down them, shoot some oil down them. Because that's what you're supposed to do before you start up an engine. You don't want to start it dry. You got to lube the cylinders. Right, Duff? Oh, he just wants to go for a ride in the old Catarina. The wine mixer. We got to get this thing running out of the way first. All right, let's pull some spark plugs. Just sitting back there admiring, but this thing was almost like a Ford Washington blue in its day. Seems like all these trucks were black or green, maybe red. Didn't see many blue ones. I bet this thing was sharp. Let's double check the firing order. Should be 15, 36, 24. 15 is too young, 36 is too old, 24 is just right. I'm starting to think 36 would be just right. Maybe even 46. All right, 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. Sure enough, I'm gonna put a mark on the old number 1. Or the young number 1, I guess. That way, we know where it goes. Ooh, these wires are brittle. You would be too after 90 years. I'm guessing these had to get replaced, you know? They can't be original 90-year-old wires, can they? Let's see if the plugs match. No. Champion, an Edison. That one is an AC. So 3 different ones, and then another Champion, and an Edison on the end. That looks like a Champion. So 3 Champions, 4 Champions, 1, 2, 3 Champions, 2 Edisons, and an AC. It's usually not a good sign, but I think folks were a little bit more frugal back in the day. They didn't buy all 6 spark plugs. You just bought the one you needed. Every one of these old trucks I work on, there's usually a bunch of spare parts behind the seat, and spark plugs is one of the things we see a lot of. The spark plug looks not too bad, you know, for been sitting for 50 or 60 years. That one looks even better. No rust at all on the Edison in number 2. Edison Albonite, made in United States of America. She's a model 55. And there's so many spark plug manufacturers back in the day. It's crazy. That one's got some fur or something in there. Something's going on that we don't like. What is that? What are you? Stay up there, Ratchet. Huh. If I were a betting man, I would say that's part of a mouse house. Did the mice go up the exhaust? And into the cylinder? That's never good. So if this was a 194, these were replaced by the 216s and later the 235s, and the bigger version of the 235 was the 261, came in the bigger trucks. And then Chevrolet came out with the last series of the inline 6s. The 194 was a little baby in the Novas, the 230, the 250, and the big dog, the old 292. We're not going to get into the GMC V6s or the 28, 31, 3800, 39, all that stuff. Yeah, and I'm sure I'm probably missing a couple in there, but that's most of them. All these plugs look pretty good other than that one that looks like it might have had some mouse house on there. Yep, that one looks good too. Sooted up, but not rusty. All right, let's go grab the schlong and see what we can see. Or actually, you can look with a flashlight. You can see the piston there. Looks like she's a ways down in that one. Which one was the Edison that had the mouse house? This guy? Looks good in there. Yeah, all of them look like a, I don't know, your normal cylinder. We'll get the schlong and peek in there just in case. What's this? So that's your vacuum advance. And it looks like there's this little adjuster screw on it. Right there. I don't know if that's a timing stop or what. Oh, this is kind of like the 235s. Your vacuum advance is external, so the whole distributor would rotate instead of just being internally. I wonder if that's freed up. Looks like she's stuck. I'm guessing that's a Delco or Delco Remy distributor. Same with the starter. All right, I'm gonna grab the schlong. All right, here we go. Going down the one hole. You can see the cylinder wall there. There's our piston. A little corrosion on the top, but nothing out of the ordinary. Looks pretty good. Door number 2. Same thing. It does look like there's some mouse droppings. Something going on there. Little corrosion. Cylinder walls all look good though. 3. That one's just about at the top. There's a bug. Looks good. 4. Cobweb. Yeah. I don't know if that's mouse poop or just little tiny bugs. But it looks pretty good. Not a bunch of rust, water, damage. There's 5. Man, this is looking great. There's 6 is way at the bottom. Looks good down there too. All right, let's give these gals a little croil, lube them holes up, and then I think we're gonna pull the valve cover off because these things do like to have valves stick, and this one sitting as long as it has, it's gonna be good to check. And we're gonna wanna see if they're going up and down when we're cranking it over anyhow. And it's just these 2 bolts right here. All right, let's croil them up. Gather up our spark plugs here. I think we're just gonna go ahead and, I'm gonna say cut this heater hose, but we don't even need to. It's just falling in on itself. So weight reduction. What do we got here? 9/16. The later 6s, the end of the 235s and the 230s, 250s had bolts around the perimeter. The 216s still use these style of bolts. Pretty neat. They got these breathers stamped right in the top of the valve cover, just venting straight to atmosphere. There was not much care towards the environment back in the day, or what got into your engine. We'll see if there's even any type of baffling on the inside. I think you just added oil and checked the gas back in the day. How do you think it's gonna look, Duff? I think it's gonna look pristine. I hope it does anyway. Oh, it's so tight to these fuel lines all the time. I don't know why GM had to do that. Give us some breathing room. Oh yeah, looks amazing. Sure enough, inside of the valve cover, no baffling, just venting right out to the atmosphere. So you can see where the exhaust manifold is at the very end, and then the intake. So exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust. And these are your adjustment screws for adjusting your rockers right here. You crack that, I believe it's a 5/8 nut loose, and then use a flathead screwdriver to tighten those up. Otherwise they got a fancy tool for doing it. Speaking of fancy tools, I was just looking at mine the other day. What is this, a snap-on? What's the part number? 1544520, or probably actually a V21A. Yeah, valve adjuster, 21A. So you can see it's got the flathead screwdriver right there, and then it's got a hex. Drop a 1/2 inch drive 5/8 socket on it. It's got this little spring-loaded pin that holds her on there. And so you're supposed to adjust these with it running. So yeah, adjusting these, holding a wrench, holding a screwdriver is kind of a pain, but this tool makes it a lot easier. Crack it loose with this, and then tighten it or loosen it up with this till the noise goes away, and then you push this around, tighten it back up. Pretty neat tool. A little bit more labor intensive than the late model stuff. So they also use the hold down bolts for the rocker shaft assembly. Those are the same bolts that you use for the valve cover hold down as well. And then this is your oiling tube. Came up here from the bottom end. It looks like they put a big dimple in it to just blast oil all over. Yeah, pretty crude. Anyway, there's not a bunch of sludge in here. There's not a bunch of animal house and not a bunch of rust. I'm gonna blow it off quick because a clean valve train is a happy valve train. And then we'll throw some oil on it. I can't believe how good this thing looks. Give her a liberal dosing of Croil on all the valves and the rockers. Because a lubricated valve train is a happy valve train.
Your happy place.
These are kind of neat valves. Instead of having the two clips that slide together and then friction that holds them in place, I actually got a cross pin that goes through the top of the valve. That's the first time I've ever seen one of those in an engine. I've got some new old stock ones laying on the shelf. I think Mojo donated them. It's neat what they used to do back then. What they tried before they determined the keepers of today's valve trains. The other thing is, back in the day they had this non-detergent oil, and that stuff was just like sludge city. So to open a valve cover and see it this clean under here, and then as clean as it was on the dipstick, I think somebody took pretty good care of this thing. This was somebody's pride and joy for sure. All right, like everybody says, you gotta lubricate the cylinders, so we're gonna let this thing sit overnight. We're gonna get back at it bright and early tomorrow morning, see if she'll turn over. I got a good feeling. Looks good. Oiled it up just like everybody on the internet tells you to do. This thing's gonna light off. There's gonna be a plume of Croil smoke coming out the back, and we're gonna be ready to see the USA in our 1934 Chevrolet. Somebody's already sacked out for the night. Been a long day, rough day, huh, Duff? One tired pup. Well, Duff, soaked all night. Ready to throw a battery in it? Who's our battery sponsor this week? Reed Rigby. You too can be a battery sponsor at mortske.com. Grabbed a couple of battery cables because there is no positive cable on the starter. And inside we got a ground coming off the transmission, and it's that braided style, and it's just not in very good shape. I don't think our battery is going to fit in that battery tray, even if we did move the Prestone jug. So I think we're just going to set her up here on the fender. That way, if this thing starts on fire, we'll be able to retrieve our battery and we won't lose Reed. So I'm going to hook the power up to that starter and find somewhere on the block or the transmission, somewhere for the ground, and we'll go from there. All right, originally this thing would have been negative, positive ground, 6 volt positive ground. We're going 12 volt negative ground. It's gonna love it. We also grounded it right to the starter bolt, so that way that bolt's already loose and ready to go when we got to take the starter apart, because that's pretty much what we do around here. Remove starters. Feel like it's in the starter itself. And I feel like that because we got a lot of experience with starters around here, unfortunately. Heavy on the dirt. This is dumb. I'm gonna snug up this battery cable, and we're gonna hook a lever up to the starter, see if this thing cranks. Now, if we put this locking pliers on this starter push rod, we should get some action. And that's what we like, action. Here goes nothing. Oh. Oh boy, she pulls hard. I have to come up with something with more leverage. Oh. Look at the French. I wonder if our button, something ain't seized up. That moves up and down. Maybe we'll get a bar in there and see what happens. Thought I heard something move. With enough leverage, man can move the world. Oh man. Well, what else can we pry on? Hey, starter's turning, but the Bendix ain't engaging. So, usually what happens is there's a clutch bell housing in there, and the mice get in there, and they pee all over everything, including the Bendix on the starter, and it rusts it, and then the Bendix don't click in and go ka-chunk and whammy against the teeth on the ring gear of the flywheel. So I think that's what's happened. We'll give her a couple more whirls, but I got a feeling we're going to be pulling the starter off, because that's the story of my life. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, and I don't want to explode this thing, because odds are the parts stores aren't going to have a starter for a 1934 Chevrolet truck on hand, or parts for that matter. So let's pull the starter off. Looks like it's just 2 bolts, cables that we just put on, and then it looks like there's a couple of cotter keys to take this linkage off. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Sure enough, she's a little rusty. Let's take that over to the bench and clean it up. See, it turns when it don't slide in and out. You gonna let me get back to work on the starter now, or what? Or you just want some scratches? Just want some scratches. I gotta teach you how to fix starters. Okay, I got work to do. So, I don't know how we're gonna clean that up without completely taking it apart, and I really don't want to do that. Get a little wire brush action, I guess. All right, got that all cleaned up. Now we just got to get it to slide on there. How are we gonna do that? If only there was a way we could pry on it. Little coil can't hurt, right? Just ain't nothing to bite onto. I can get the whole starter shaft to slide back and forth. Not the Bendix. This locking pliers gonna fit in there. So I'm gonna try to clamp onto the Bendix with this here locking pliers. And put a little bar in there and pry that ahead, and hopefully don't slip on the, oh, there we go. Maybe. Work her back and forth a bit. Oh yeah. So I'm using this to grab those teeth, Pot County style. There's only 3 of them. And we're prying on the locking pliers and moving her ahead. I'm gonna go grab a bigger bar. This little baby guy is handy, but not quite enough. Oh, it's made in USA. What a deal. Tecton's made in USA. Never worth thunk it. Seems like it moves pretty freely. I pee freely.
Is Mr. Freely there? Oh, really? First initial is IP.
Hold on, I'll check it. Hey, everybody, IP freely.
Oh, there we go. You gotta turn it as you spin it out. And there's a spring back there? Maybe. I think it's just centrifugal force. Centrifugal. It's got a G, but it sounds like a C or a CK. Centrifugal. Centrifugal? Stop looking at me like that, Duff.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
All right, let's bench test it. Yeah, that. She's gonna have all the torque, so we better clamp her down. See what happens. We should get more action than that. Can't imagine we have a bad connection. Actually, I can. Got it. So here's how the Bendix sits in a relaxed state. As you turn the windings in the starter or whatever, starter things, centrifugal force, because there's some splines on that shaft, it's going to spin this guy ahead. It's going to whammy into our teeth on our flywheel, spin it over. And then as the engine turns over, it's going to turn faster than this thing's turning, because this is not going to be turning because we'll kick it out, and it'll just spin back, in theory. So yeah, let me show you. But it's going to stay out since we don't have the engine to kick it back. Ready to go for another 90 years, Duff. Couldn't have done it without you. All right, let's get this thing thrown back on. Plus, this 90-year-old starter is way better than anything you go get from some third world crap hole at the parts store now anyways. And I'm guessing a 34 Chevy starter's pretty hard to find at any parts store, even if they order it. Stuff of this vintage is getting pretty obsolete, especially the GM stuff. You can get some Ford flathead stuff, but the early Chevy 6 stuff, good luck. And if you can find it, it's gonna be real cheap. No? Flathead stuff ain't cheap. Nothing's cheap anymore, Duff. Nothing. Even upholstery. God dang it. Even the nickel tour now costs a dime. Let's clean this mating surface up with my SS1 Super Scraper. Get yours at mortske.com. We got a handful of them left. They go fast, so. We even have the SS2s this time around. It's the first time I've ever had them. This is a 1 inch, hence the SS1. The SS2 is twice as wide, so I guess the people on the, well, not the windmills, yeah, the wind generators, wind turbines, they like them in big truck shops. I haven't used mine yet. I like the SS1, and then the SS5S, and then the SS5, in that order. But they're all good. Made in America, lifetime guarantee on the edge. They'll resharpen it for free. Great product. Use them all of the time. I'm going to do the same thing on the mating surface of the starter, and we'll slide that thing in. Sprayed a little looby-doob on the threaded holes up there, so hopefully that goes better. But I just noticed this. I think these starters were hard to find 50 years ago. Looks like somebody busted up the nose cone and nickel welded it together. I would say that was nickel. Oops, gonna need that 7/16 bolt back. I wonder what would cause that nose cone to break, but I'm glad it's fixed. That'd be a tough one to find. Nor have I ever nickel welded before. Oh yeah, I was gonna put a bar on the flywheel, see if it turns before we put any strain and stress on this starter. Because like I said, that starter's probably gold. Oh yeah, look at that. She's stiff, but I mean, it moves thanks to the croil. Perfect. I kind of figured it would turn the way those cylinders looked and the spark plugs really look good. There it's stuck. Then again, I don't have a very good bite on it either. Oh yeah, she's turning. Ow. That hurt. I feel like I should turn it the whole way over by hand, but I'm not that ambitious. Commence starter install. I don't even think he's grinding anything. I think he's back there just making noise, pretending like he's working. Just off in his own little world. So before we try to crank this over, I'm going to pull this carburetor off because clearly it's going to need some work, and I want to see if there's anything in there that's going to get sucked inside the engine. So let's get that apart. No way, this is free. Oh yeah, she's a... Oh, no way. Are you kidding me? The butterfly is loose. With a cast iron base, I would have never imagined that. Well, their plastic wasn't really sealing it anymore, but they tried. Well, you can tell they sealed it up, I would say, significantly later than the 60s, because that's a plastic zip tie. Doesn't mean it was running, but it means they sealed it up later on. Oh, I bet this whole bag was over the top. Ah, that's what it is. They had a bag over the whole top of the air cleaner, and it's disintegrated. They never had sealed it up between the throat and the air filter. I don't see a bunch of stuff in there. I think we're just going to leave it on there. No point in breaking the seal on the gasket. And if the freaking butterflies are all moving, I think we're just going to leave it. We can take it apart later if we have to. Oh man, the nut is just worn smooth from being taken apart so many times with pliers. I'm going to do a little digging inside for a crank, or see if I got a crank around the yard. All these cars that come in, they all had the option to crank start them, but there's never any cranks, it seems like. But I'm gonna do some digging, because the history on that starter is not good, and I don't want to ruin the starter trying to get it to crank over. If we can get it to roll over by hand before we even get started, that'll save a lot of life on our poor starter. So it's got like 2 prongs on the crankshaft that catch a shaft, and that's what turns it over. So I'm gonna dig through the cab and through my stash and see if I can find something. Well, I found one in my stash, but it was too short. But it was kind that has a hex on the end. So we just put an extension and a socket on there. Let's put a ratchet on, see what happens. I think it's for a Ford. Well, that's where I found it, in a Ford. You don't want to mix and match your parts. Let's see what happens. It doesn't intermingle very well. Then I had to put a jack underneath the splash band, because I don't know if it's the mounts or what, but everything's kind of sagging. So this crank wanted to shoot down below the bumper and not through the handy dandy bracket up here. The last 90 years have been good on this thing. Moved up. The old 12-point Craftsman socket doesn't like that. Well, what the heck are you gonna put on there? Maybe it's metric. Try the 17 millimeter. That's 5/8. Dagnabbit. 16 millimeter. Come on. Nope. All right, let's try to get her tapped on there a little better. Don't try this at home. And this is why we're trying it with the crank, because if this thing turns over this hard, it's not going to be good on that starter. Ask me how I know. Nope. What if we leave this on there, put a pipe wrench on this? I don't want to weld anything to this, because, you know, we might have a Concours restoration of a 33 Ford 510 coupe someday, and we might need that crank. 3-foot pipe wrench should do it. Wow. There she's going. Still too much resistance for the socket. Crank pulley's turning. Ooh. She's stiff. There you can see what's on the end of this manual starter. All right, I think we got a full revolution. Let's go try the starter. Can't get the socket off my extension. Can't get my extension off the front bumper. That's no good. All right, give me back my socket. Didn't help me out here. Give me back my socket. Leonard Skinner, yeah, give me back my socket. Great hit from 1978.
Nailed it.
What's your problem? Problem is, what is this, a right? It's a no-namer. Oh no, it is a right. It's got that little pin thinger, and the pin has dropped in the hole. No, I can't get my crappy chrome 12-pin Craftsman socket back. Yeah, I'm gonna get a blood blister out of the deal. Dagnabbit. I'm no longer asking nicely. Got it. Yeah, this thing's got like some positive engagement pin. It's got way too much positivity for this YouTube channel. All right, let's hook our battery and cables up and give this newfangled electric starting mechanism a whirl. You see, this is where we plan ahead. I gotta hit that button. And the cylinders are full, you know what? Croil. Because you guys told me to. You're just trying to get me sprayed with Croil. Because all them spark plug holes is pointing right at my face. So I got two options. I could hook that pedal up, put this little linkage on there. Look at this thing is pretty ingenious. Stamped steel, C-channel shape, a couple holes in it, and then they pinched her all the way flat on that side, and then you drive a key through there, and that's what pushes against the end of that rod. So it's got a little tolerance to it, if you will. Or we put the plugs in, but if it ain't gonna turn over, it's already gonna have a hard time turning over. We don't wanna do that. So let's find something to put over those to shield me from getting a Croil bath. We don't like baths around here, do we, dog? No, we don't. All right. Cardboard action. Good to go. Let's see what happens. Big money, no whammy.
Come on, big money, big money, big money. No whammy, no whammy.
Success! Great success!
Great success.
Not making a lot of compression. We have exactly 0 Croil on the cardboard. Guessing we got a couple of stuck valves, eh, Duff? Our favorite. All right. See how many are loose. I would guess that exhaust valve is stuck. Probably that one. Probably all of the exhaust valves by the looks of things. So that means more Croil in the fun game of whack-a-mole. Well, that's gonna end the day here at Mortske Repair. It's really not whack-a-mole, it's pry-a-mole. Ooh. How we determined that those were stuck. Not looking good for the home team here, kids. Let's see what we got going on. Definitely got no activity on these. So let's wait till we got the intakes on either of these open, and then we know the exhaust should be closed, because they're never both open at the same time. Okay, that one's open. Hopefully this isn't an interference engine, or we're in trouble. Oh my. Oh my. How are we gonna get that to come up? A bigger bar? Good idea. Our valve cover gasket's sacrificed. We're gonna have to cut down another cork tree. Cheese and rice. They don't want to go. There's a good 1/4 inch of clearance there. I don't have a lot of experience with these style keepers, but I just feel like it's going to want to cut right through this retainer here, basically the way that they're designed. It doesn't have a conical seat, it's got that cross shaft. So I don't want to pry on it too much because we're going to bend something. Guess we could try giving it some heat. Let's give this other number 2 exhaust valve a whirl. All right, let's bump it over till this intake is open. There we go. Like I said, I just really got a bad feeling about these keepers and retainers. If I do a bunch of prying on them, bad things are going to happen. And I don't have any spare early Chevy valve train stuff. I know I got some valves laying around, but they're probably the wrong ones. And I don't want to get into pulling ahead and doing a valve job. Just sitting here pondering my life decisions. Here's the alternator bracket. Flaked off a chunk of the exhaust manifold by just pushing on it. But look at this. These water pumps, that's I think they call it a packing nut, and then it's usually like leather or some other material. You tighten that packing nut up and that seals up the water pump, and it's basically a controlled leak. But look at this. You'd like pack grease in there, and then you would tighten this thumb screw to push the grease in. So every time you drive it, you'd give her a little bit more tension to push that grease in there. See if we can get it all the way off. I bet it's just a big grease cup. You ever had to grease your water pump? Sure enough, you just pack grease in there and then pack this probably full of grease, thread her on there just a little ways, and then every time you run it or every oil change or whatever, you tighten her a little bit more, and then when it bottoms out, you got to pack her full of grease again. Man, things were a lot more labor intensive 90 years ago. Speaking of 90 years ago, let's get the expert involved. Hey Mojo, I need your expert opinion. I got 2 stuck exhaust valves, and these are the style. I got that keeper that's a cross pin through there instead of those conical style. And I put a pretty good sized bar on them, and they don't budge. And I put oil on them. And I feel like if you pry on them real hard, it's just gonna tear that retainer right around that keeper, don't you think?
Yeah.
You know, like the late model style, you could pull on those things as hard as you want because it ain't gonna go nowhere. But these, with all the pressure being on those 2 points, I think that'd just be like a knife and it's just gonna cut through it. And I don't have much for spare parts. I think you gave me the only handful of exhaust valves like that I've ever seen. Only thing I can think of is if we take that rocker shaft off, and we compress those springs, we take those keepers out, and then maybe put a little heat in there.
Yeah. Tap them down and.
I'll tap them down further than the rocker shaft's putting them down?
Yeah.
And then what? And then it's stuck down further.
Yeah.
And then mash the piston up against it to push it up?
You can do that. You can otherwise go in from the exhaust manifold and
Yeah.
pry them up.
Oh, come in from there? Yeah. I don't got any gaskets and stuff though either, so the further we get into it, the more parts we need. I mean, the right thing to do would be to pull the head off and give it a valve job, but
Yeah.
I think that's more than this truck deserves.
Well, wish it looked like through the spark plug hole.
Looks good.
You can't get nothing.
Oh, yeah, it's tight. There ain't enough room to pry on a valve
Right.
through there. Well, I think we need heat. What'd you come up with?
Huh?
What'd you come up with?
What you're doing? About it. Uh-huh.
I think I'm gonna pull that rocker shaft off, and we'll get that spring compressor, and we'll get that keeper out of there,
Yeah.
and we'll heat up the guide a little bit.
Heat up the guide and then
See what happens. About this stupid long 9/16 socket. Oh, it's got a frickin' rubber boot in there. How good is that? I haven't got to use it yet. It's by sunning. I don't know if I like the rubber boot in there. It's kind of like spark plug socket. Seems silly. All right, these shafts do split in the middle right here, so be careful. And it's got a spring. So yeah, just break them in half like that. This is a tool made by KD. I think it's a model 700. I don't think I've ever used it. And I can see why. It's not going to work for this application very well. So it looks like you just kind of get it in place. There we go, it might work. And when we turn this knob on the end, it should compress the spring. And we're gonna get to show you these retainers. Get our screwed by Mortske repair magnetic screwdriver. Fish her right out of there. I said fish it right out of there. You can get your screwdriver at mortske.com. Could use a little bit more grip. There we go. There it is. It's just like a little tiny piece of bar stock. Not much to it. Now the spring in this cup should come off. We can give it heat. A little heat goes a long ways. So this is the valve stem, and this is the guide. And it actually wiggles on the guide, so I don't know what's going on there. I wonder if this is an umbrella seal, if I can get that off of there. It looks like it's multiple pieces, but maybe it's not. I'm guessing there's a rubber seal in here, and we put heat to it. We're gonna be sacrificing that, but I'm all right with that. Before we even get started, I'm gonna put a locking pliers on here. So that way we can put a little tension on it while we're heating it up. I don't see this ending well. For me, the channel, or the engine. You, the viewer, always wins though. Hey, that rag's flammable. Crisis averted. Yeah, we'll just give her a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle here and wiggle, wiggle there.
All right, we're going the Mojo way. We're gonna tap it down. This tapping valve goes so well here. Ready for the white smoke. Got it moving, but now it doesn't go up any higher than it did before. Sure feels solid, like it's seating. I suppose we could hook air up to that cylinder and see if air comes out the exhaust. Doesn't look like it's going up any higher than the one next to it, though. Oh yeah, that's stuck. I wonder if the piston didn't hit it and bent it. Then we're gonna have issues. I think we got it. But now I can't hold it in place, so we got to put air to the cylinder, to the spark plug hole, and that air should hold this in place. Hopefully we don't have a bunch of leaks, and then we should be able to get it all assembled. Probably, hopefully, in theory. I'm gonna try just putting a little air to the spark plug hole and see if it'll hold it. There we go. Now when I let the air off, it drops down. Gonna have to get Mojo's help on this one. But that air test does tell us that this valve is at least attempting to seal. So we know we got it all the way up. But if we blow on that other cylinder, we can hear it coming out the exhaust. Mojo, you wanna come give me a hand?
Yep.
Give me a little bit of air pressure just to hold that valve up. There. That's how they did it in the old country, right?
Yep. How we did her.
What's that?
That's how we did her.
Blow in this one and see if we can hear it leaking past the exhaust valve. Oh yeah. Well, I guess I'll take that one apart too and go from there. Yeah, you don't have to.
You ain't gonna go no place.
No! If it... The last one didn't anyway. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Should fire right up now, huh?
Fire right up.
Hey! What's that, your reverse compression test?
Yep. Yep.
Do them all now.
Do them all?
We already did 2 and 3. Do 1.
Run like a sewing machine, no?
Like a sewing machine, huh? Like a Singer or one of them off brands?
Well, maybe a singer. Okay.
There we go. I don't need to do a compression test now.
Nope. See?
Getting an education today.
You are. We do it backwards.
Yeah. You do it right because we do it twice.
Okay.
Alright, we gotta line all these rocker arms up with these push rods before we crank it down, or you're gonna have a bad day. We got our spring tube orifice combination in place here. We got all of our push rods lined up, got all our bolts started. We should be able to snug it down. Everything should be happy up here. Happy, happy, happy.
Everybody happy, happy, happy.
So there's still quite a bit of play on these guys. So we're gonna adjust them up so they're just a little bit of clearance in there. We're not gonna go look in the manual and adjust them to 16 thousandths or whatever it says. And probably supposed to do that when it's warm. And clearly this thing isn't at operating temperature. So we're gonna take our 5/8 wrench and a flat screwdriver and adjust them up. And so we're gonna want to adjust them when the intake is open. We'll just kind of go through all these. These two are the worst, but there's a couple that are a little bit on the loose side. And this could be lobes wearing off on the camshaft. It could be the seats getting worn on the valves. A lot of things could be causing this. Tell you what, let's do a compression test. We should have done before the valve adjustment and before the stuck valve relief. Also, don't adjust valves like I do, because it's really scientific. Let's see what we got. It's not looking good. What do we got? About 15 pounds? Oofta. Oofta. I don't know, kids. That starter's already groaning from the 24 volts we're gonna have to hook up to it. Having flashbacks of Y-block valve covers flaming up in my face. Alright, let's hope 2 is better. Yeah, well, it's not. I'm starting to wonder if this compression tester that I got is any good. Oh, I know you're supposed to have the carburetor wide open, but we're getting a little bit of compression there. Only about 10 psi's though. Alright, let's try 4. The needle moved up. So we'll say it's got compression. It's better than nothing. Come on, can't one have like 50 psi? $45, we're rounding it up to 50. Come on, let's see another 45. Should run on those back 2 cylinders anyway. We're gonna need all the assistance we can get, so I'm gonna go see what I can find for spark plugs. Put some new ones in there. Ooh, we're gonna need spark too. I'm sure the old Mortske flick will clean this thing right up. Look at that cute little guy. That is an old cap. We're gonna need to clean all them up too. They're a little green. Hit them with a file. Should be good to go. Look at that cute little rotor. Oh, she's about torn off. You better be careful with that. She's cracked through there pretty good. Wonder why that is. Somebody's probably been in here before. No doubt trying to get this thing running. Let's see if they're even opening and closing. Oh yeah. What are the odds this ancient rusty coil does coil things? I think we're gonna put a new wire on it because that one's about half the strands are there. Same deal on the top. I would say it's only about a third. I feel like we should grab a new coil, but that's against my morals. I tell you what, we're just gonna run a jumper wire from there to there. I don't want to take that hardware loose because it might be the last time it ever comes loose. And we don't have any spare distributors like that that I'm aware of. All right, new jumper wire from the distributor to what should be the negative side of the coil. We're gonna cut this wire going into the cab off. strip it back, and that's where we're going to connect our power wire. Now let's see if we got any spark. Can't see anything, but let's put a coil wire on it. See if we can't electrocute ourselves.
By the power of Grayskull.
Ow! Yep, it's got spark. Oh. Nothing. I think we're gonna have to hit her with the file. Oh, there we got some spark. There's life left in that coil. Definitely got to file those. They're looking pretty crusty. Now let's give her a whirl. All kinds of spark. All right, cleaned up our cap and rotor, stuck that back on there. Now we got to put some spark plugs in it. I went on the old Rock Auto. It calls out a R45 Delco plug. Well, guess what I got? Some Presto lights that some viewer sent me. I guess they were cleaning out a parts store, or his neighbor had it in his garage. I don't remember. We get a lot of stuff sent to us, but we got some Presto lights. What are they? 14R8, which apparently translates to an R46, which is one spectrum hotter than an R45. We only got 5 of them, so I did find one R45, but it's an S, so the S means super. So let's slam these things in here. Freaking Presto lights. Cool old box. Performance engineered. Oh yeah, warranty certificate. I'm gonna put those in. Duff's gonna hang out over there. Then we're gonna get some hot sauce and fire this thing up. Or attempt to anyway. The nice part about these old plug wires being so stiff is they pretty much just fall right back into their respective spark plugs. All right, let's double check spark one more time. Make sure we didn't lose it. All kinds of spark. Isn't that crazy? That old 6 volt coil. Words is hard. All right, let's give her some hot sauce. Oh, there's no Venturi up here to fill the float bowl. We're just gonna give her a dash of gas and hope it sucks it into the cylinder. I'm a little concerned that we got little to no compression, but we'll give her a whirl, see what happens. Oil's hooked up. Ooh, getting warm. 6 volt coils, love the 12 volts. Here goes nothing. Slingshot engage.
Slingshot engaged.
You can hear it trying to roll on what, 5 and 6? 1, 5, 3, 6. Well, at least they're not right next to each other. We need some compression booster. We need to unhook that coil. When you leave a coil hooked up directly to 12 volts, especially 6 volt ones, they sound like a 12 gauge going off in the shop. It's real loud. Ask me how I know. Compression in a can. We need to invent that, Duff. I got some ether, but it's not good ether. It's hard to find good ether. I think John Deere's like the only good ether anymore, it seems like. All right, we're gonna try the old Presto premium starting fluid. Gotta hook the coil up first. I feel like that starter is gonna be the death of this excursion. Here we go, slingshot engage. Just not enough compression. A lot of people mention like pulling it around the yard. You could maybe do that with a tow truck, but this thing doesn't steer. As I say, I could get Mojo to pull me around in a pickup, but the steering box is seized up and it's unhooked, I think, underneath. Anyway, it don't steer, so you can't follow somebody around. And you almost got to pick the front end up because these front tires are pretty bad shape, but the back tires are there. I'd have to think on that one. Hook it up to the tow truck, old Bernie. Put her in gear, head on down the road and let her get a bunch of heat in the cylinders, and then hook the coil up. Then we gotta hook up a boat tank and all that good stuff too. It's getting to be about that time of day though. I'm gonna sleep on it. Soaking the cylinders in Croil overnight definitely didn't increase the compression, that's for sure. Dagnammit. I was so excited about this thing too, but I suppose the rings are just stuck from years of sitting. When we were turning it over with that pipe wrench, you could tell how dry it was in there. It was pretty crunchy, even after we soaked it in Croil. So, yeah, maybe we'll have to pull the head and pistons out and clean up the rings, give her a valve job, put her all back together. Just what I want to do. Overhaul a Babbitt Chevy 6 with a bunch of reused gaskets and whatnot. Not real high on my priority list. We were, however, getting a little bit of smoke coming up through the crankcase, so we're getting some combustion in the cylinders, and it's blowing past the rings and going through the crankcase and coming up past the push rods, so it's signs of combustion. All right, sandwich time. All right, curiosity got the best of me before I shut her down. Put her up on the lift. Let's look at the bottom of this thing. I wonder if it's got an open drive shaft or an enclosed drive line. I'm guessing enclosed, but I don't know much about these early Chevys. Let's take a look. There, instead of rods for brakes, they got cables. Oh, I saw one of these things inside the cab. So that's what that's for. Ah, that's why it doesn't steer in the cab. She's unhooked. So I suppose we could hook that up. But it looks like somebody had made a trailer out of it. So I think I saw the yoke in the back. I think you hook the yoke up to this and then it goes, yeah, there it is. It pivots up front there underneath the axle and then it turns your tie rod back and forth. Big old heavy straight axle, 1 3/4 wide, parallel leafs. There you can see just how rotten the bottom of that radiator is and the core support, all that. Must have been some pretty caustic stuff in there. Anywho, there's our oil pan. Looks like the inspection cover, either the front was cut off or it was never there. Our exhaust. Oh, she was a straight pipe all the way out the back. I bet this thing barked. But it's rotten right there, so we'll have to get that fixed. Cute little transmission. Oh, it's even got a PTO cover on it. We could put a hoist on the back of this thing. A little splice going on with the exhaust. I think this is actually like Schedule 40 or Schedule 80 freaking pipe. Some number 9 wire for Quick Dick.
Until next time, this is Quick Dick McDick reminding you, a man will never get tired of pulling on his number 9 wire.
Hanger bearing, yep, enclosed drive shaft. These are the park brakes out here, and these are your driving brakes coming down the center. Some pretty good sized brakes in the back of this thing for hauling the big loads, along with the big leaf springs. Bed floor actually looks pretty good. That must have been what all that sealer was used for. Instead of sealing the cab, they sealed up the bed. Maybe we could hook up the steering and pull this thing around. Or I guess we don't need the steering if we use a tow truck. Sure enough, that is some 1.5 inch pipe. Good stuff. Old U-bolt to hang it. Oh, that's way better. I bet this thing sounded pretty good with a great big long 1.5-inch pipe coming out the back. No muffler. Just straight pipes, cackling away. Be a lot better if it had a split manifold. It's crazy what they had going on these brakes. So look at all these pivot points. There's one there, one there, one there, one there. So how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's for the park brake on one side. 13 pivot points. So 26 for the park brake to work. As you can imagine, these things leave a lot to be desired. If you didn't keep them adjusted, lubricated, all that stuff, they just bind. It felt like you'd have brakes, but you didn't have brakes. So if there's 26 on the park brake, there's probably at least 40 for the driving brakes because you got them on the front wheels as well. That was a full-time job just keeping brakes on these things. What kind of tires we got here? 620. Got the old pirate flag on there. 5 lug wheels in the front. I think the backs are 10 lugs. Sure enough. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, riveted together. And then I'm sure there's a snap ring. Oh yeah, there's the snap ring in there. Good stuff. All right, now we're gonna shut her down for the night. Pretty crazy what they used to do back in the day. Ready to shut her down for the night, Duff? I don't know why everybody asks about that car up there. Must be something special about it. I like the poncho though. Good stuff. All right, we're back out here today, and if we're gonna get this thing to run, we gotta get some type of fuel source hooked up to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the fuel line off the carburetor and see if we can't get some type of adapter fitting, something on there. It's really tiny, like 1/4-inch line, so I can't slip a regular 3/8 or 5/16 hose over it very well. So we're gonna see if we can't get some type of barbed adapter. And then if we're pulling it down the road, we're gonna have to have a fuel source on it because we can't just be leaning out the window drizzling gas if we're gonna pull start it. And we gotta get this door to open. So, and I might check to see if the choke will work. So first things first, I think it's 1/8-inch pipe thread, but we'll find out. Another thing we should do, if we're gonna be bouncing around in the gravel, we should put that valve cover on, even though we got no gasket anymore. But it was pretty much vented to the atmosphere the first 80,000 miles of its life, so should be fine. Keep the large debris out of there. So I think what's going on in this door is all this wood structure is shifted, and we just gotta get the bar in there and unshift it. There we go. Ooh. Well, the odds the window goes down. Not good. Oh, it looks like it's siliconed in place. This might be fun. I wonder what we can find for a seat to stab in that thing, though. Because sitting on all that wood and metal is not going to be comfortable. I'm going to do some digging, see what I can come up with for a seat. Let's get this stuff out of the way first. Milk crate, maybe? Spare petcock? A couple of them. Wonder what that was all about. We may never know. There's that aluminum brake cover bracket thing I was talking about. Cable goes in there. Yeah, I don't know when silicone became a thing, and somebody could have sealed the windows after they quit driving it, but you can see they got that window siliconed in place. Yeah, wood. Not a good material to assemble a vehicle with. Oh man. The door's just kind of held on by hopes and dreams. I might have to tie that shut just to ride in the thing. Otherwise it's gonna fall off. I don't know why I get myself into these situations. I'm doing it for the YouTubes. Let's see what happens when we give a little fuel pressure to the poor old W1 Carter. Fuel shooting everywhere. I think we need more fuel in our tank. All right, I can hear air coming out, but not much fuel coming out the carburetor. There we go. Now she's leaking. Oh, what a nightmare. No doubt the needle and seat is stuck. Float, whatever. So, I'm not going to be able to leave this hooked up because it's going to be dumping fuel everywhere. I think that got it. Just for S's and G's, let's give her a whirl to start her, see what happens. Here we go. Slingshot engage. Let's double check for spark. Make sure we didn't lose that overnight. All kinds of electrocution going on. Ain't gonna do it. Let's tie down the battery, fuel tank, move the battery inside, figure out a seat so somebody can ride in there. We get some doors to latch and unlatch so you can safely escape. Hook a tow truck up. The reasoning behind the tow truck is that thing should get all kinds of revolutions into this thing, where this is turning over pretty slow. The faster you turn it, the more compression you're gonna get. You're gonna put some heat into those cylinders as well, and hopefully that makes some combustion. The concern I have is, I don't know if the clutch is working in this thing, I don't know if the transmission's any good. So pulling it around might not get this engine turned over at all, especially faster. So we'll give her a whirl, because this starter isn't long for this world if we keep doing this. And I know 24 volts are gonna be the demise of it. So I got to thinking, these cabs are really tight anyway. And if you got to get out of here in a hurry, who knows what might happen. There's a fuel tank full of fuel sitting inches from your feet. But anyway, you're not going to want to climb out the passenger side, shifter in your way, steering in your way. Who knows what kind of seat you're going to be sitting on. So let's just pop the door off. Then you can hang on the fender and see what's going on and fall off and get run over by the wheels. So I'm going to heat up this hinge. This hinge is not even attached to the cab. There's no pin in this one, plus it's broken. So we're gonna heat up this pin, hinge, drive that pin out. We should be able to take the door right off. Let's not blow up that fuel tank. What? Thought that one wasn't attached. Guess we're gonna take two pins out. Oh, there's one screw going through the wood holding it. We're just going to eliminate that screw instead. Maybe burn the whole truck down, who knows? It wouldn't be the first truck we lit on fire. Oh, thanks for telling me that thing's on fire. Definitely won't be the last either. I lied, 2 screws, but they're not attached yet. Oh yeah, way easier entry and exit now. We had to lift the seat up to fill this thing. I didn't even have a filler net coming out the side. Yeah, that's the filler neck right there. What the heck? You can stop smoldering anytime though. Yeah, it looks like there's 4 screws that were holding it on. Only 2 of them were present and they weren't really attached to anything, but had to trim them off so that we could slide it out. Because of course, as you can tell by the smoldering, they just screw into wood, and that wood is shot. It's a big undertaking restoring one of these things. These sill plates is just tin over the top of wood. I think it was oak. I don't know. I could be wrong. Either way, it lasted 90 years. Most of it being outside, I would imagine. So that's pretty good. Look at this cute little brake switch down here. That's all that they had for the brake switch for the lights. Cute little guy. Oh yeah, look at this. Big trucker. 10-4. 1/10/4. So it's probably January 10th, 1934 this thing was built. Or that cover was built anyway. Yeah, it's a big 10-4 rubber ducky.
10-4 there, Goldie Wang. This is Rubber Ducky. What's your 10-20, over?
Better give you a 390 Cadillac update. Frost plugs are in, oil pans cleaned up. Somebody only ordered a top end gasket set, so we gotta wait for some gaskets. We got valve covers cleaned up, starters Mojo Craft overhauled. We got fresh rings, new lifters, new fuel pump. The boys at Beast Bakery and Body Swap mentioned these things. You get one of these bakery carts and you got all these pans. You put all your junk on it. We got an oil pump rebuild kit that we don't need because that one looked good. Pistons are cleaned up. New camshaft. All kinds of clean parts. New timing chain. Mojo has got the intake valves ground. We got exhaust valves on order because the exhaust valves, they're pretty terrible. So he's spending my money. Right?
Yep.
Ready to go?
Yep. Spend some more money.
Spend some more money. Right, Duff? You got your adapter machined. There you go. We could touch up the seats with a Suv seat grinder. Perfect. All right. Now you just got to put everything together. All right, let's see if Bernie will fire up. Haven't had this thing running in, I don't know, it's been at least a month. I'm trying to think of what we drug around with last. Anyway, let's do this. Old Bernie. Ugh. Needs a tilt steering wheel. Legs don't fit underneath it. He's like, you ain't going without me, is you? We're just driving around the yard, Duff. Give her a couple pumps. Freaking love this thing. It's good. All right, let's hook her up to a Chevrolet. Oh, the Ford boys will love that. Towing a Chevrolet with a Ford. All right, Bernie's hooked up. I don't know what gear it's in. I'm thinking over and up, second gear. It wouldn't turn the engine in first. So second, I actually put a mark on the crankshaft and it is turning. I got out and ran alongside of it, put her in creeper gear, and she's turning. So I'm gonna run around the block and see if we can't get a little heat in there. See what happens. Nothing else, nice day, boats and hose. Go for a ride in the old tow truck, eh, Duff? Yeah, tow trucks is good. Everybody needs one. Look at this guy, got himself a new refrigerator. Should we go help Pookie move a refrigerator into his trailer house? Yeah, Should be fun. Wonder if it put any heat into it. Oh yeah, that's crazy. And that was without any fuel or ignition, so that's wild. Should have brought the temp gun with. Anyway, pulls great. Doing pooky things at the trailer. I guess his refrigerator took a dump and a bunch of meat unthawed. Who wants the smell-o-vision? He's got her taped shut so you don't dare smell it. You got some mouse house out here.
Yeah, happens.
Very nice. Did you hack that door in yourself?
No, the guy bought it from did.
A real door, not a real house.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I just put a real door in camper.
What are you doing in there with a hammer and a screwdriver?
Taking off the door so we can put the fridge in.
Oh. I too am good at removing doors.
Dude, that's nice.
It's very nice.
It's like air conditioning.
Yeah.
You don't want to get too cold in the wintertime though.
Yeah.
Might want to put like a...
It's for when you're feeding the cows. You know, you just set her in low range, you jump in the back and you throw the hay bales off
yeah,
at
it's
them.
quicker go around.
Yeah. You didn't take the door off to get it out, or did you? And you put it back on?
I put it back on.
Oh, you're good at this.
I did it yesterday.
Woo!
Can't let raccoons...
You're so strong. You don't want the raccoons in here living with the cats?
No.
All right. Let's do this, I guess.
I see how this is. Make me go up the steps backwards.
Well, you want the heavy end?
You ain't no dummy. Damn, is that a Kreger wheel at the bottom of your grill?
Yeah, it is.
Trailer thing. Oh! Don't put your hands on the outside.
That's why it barely fits.
That's what she said.
It's warm.
It is warm.
Right?
Warmed it right up. It's like puking stuff.
Oh, it's got oil pressure.
Oh, that's good smelling oil too. It smells like... I'm not gonna taste it.
Dang it. Should we see if it'll start?
Oh yeah.
Yes, 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 yes.
Turn the key on. Watch the gas spray on the carburetor. All right, here we go. Slingshot and get.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's nice.
Stop. Fixed it.
That's real nice like.
Don't worry, it just drips on the exhaust manifold.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That's like.
Oh, take it out of gear.
What happened to that?
Pull it down.
I figured that one out.
Ooh. There you go. Good. Did it almost go? Dagnabbit.
Dang. Let's pull her.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, now I pull with the key on.
No, because then it'll drive through Bernie. Oh,
Now I'm in there.
We got lots of spark.
I'll take it out of gear.
Lots of spark.
Oh, I see what's wrong. You got a
Ain't got no
wire
gas in it?
hooked up to a rad wire. That's no go. It's like putting John Deere and case together. Just don't communicate. I mean, it looks cool.
I'm a big tow truck driver.
Big tow truck driver. Sound Mitch. You got tomato going.
All right, enjoy your new fridge.
Thanks, buddy. I can't wait to cook hamburger helper in it.
Mmm, bacon. All right, put a few miles on it. We tried it in third gear. Hopefully that doesn't spin the engine as fast. I don't know how many miles we put on. Tires are still holding up. Pookie was pretty jealous that they held there. I said, I don't know if they're holding air, if they're just that rigid, but let's see what happens. It's definitely making oil pressure. You can see oil running out past the head gasket, valve cover gasket. Here goes nothing. Oh, idiot, take it out of gear. You're gonna drive over Bernie. Oh, getting some arc coming out of the coil. Well, it's definitely making vacuum on my hand. I think it's getting spark. Yeah, we got all kinds of spark there. Sure looks like it's getting fuel. I wonder if it's getting too much fuel. Well, it seems like it's got a fair amount of suction or vacuum on the carburetor. When we're cranking it over, it still just isn't turning over fast enough. So I think we got ourselves some more vacuum or suction or compression, whatever we got going on there. I think what I'll do, Mojo is at lunch. I'm gonna go eat lunch. When we get back, I'll have him pull me around and I'll sit in this thing and we'll get it up to speed, and I'll try playing with the throttle and dropping the clutch and doing a few other things. Because obviously it turns over way faster with Bernie pulling it than it does with that starter. And if that doesn't work, then I guess we just tear it apart and give it a valve and ring job. Somebody else can do that, because I don't think we'll go that far, but you never know. All right, lunchtime. Oh, Bernie, she's a good rig. Oh, Chevy, not so much. Oh yeah, you can see some oil and fuel running down there. She's close. I think she'll go. I hope it does, because we got a lot of time invested in this thing. Well, Mojo's gonna tow us around. Out of the exhaust vent below my feet. Just don't want to pop out though. Hey! Oh! Think it like second. It's going. Keep wanting to steer it to follow him. But there's no steering, obviously. Can you hear it? just purring away. Oh man, it's got so much blow by. There you have it. I guarantee this thing hasn't been running since the 60s, so 60 years of sitting around, just purring away. If we had a radiator and a clutch and some hoses, we could probably drive this thing. Oh, and some steering and some tires. It's a little smoky in the cab, but get that, the steering is just, it's stuck in about, yeah, can't get much rotation out of it. Well, there is no oil. Well, there's the oil gauge. Well, there you go. We got her to run anyway. I don't know how much longer we want to run it without coolant in it. Maybe we'll fire up one more time. What do you think? Not too bad, huh?
We got her.
We got her. Now we can put it back in the weeds.
Yeah.
Work on something worthwhile.
Okay.
Oh, she's even got a little steam coming out of the radiator. Pretty good considering there ain't a bottom hose even on it. Oh man, that's awesome. Well, make another lap, see if we can't get her running again.
Okay.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. What did we have it in? Third? Everybody needs a tow truck, then you can get anything to run. Keep wanting to steer with this, I forget. We don't have steering. Ooh, I think she's warm.
She's getting warmed up.
Warmed up. All right, I think that's good enough. Let's unhook our coil and our fuel pump. Man, I think other than some coil, some fuel, and some spark plugs, we didn't put much into it. A couple of stuck valves and a tow job. All right, put the door and the hood back on it. It can be somebody else's, right?
Yeah.
You want it? This could be your pay. It looked good in your yard.
I got to go work on that fortune, I think.
Oh, yeah, we got to get the tractor out. You got some farming to do out here. Drain the yard. All right, back to work.
Back to work.
All right, let's get that door back on. Get our battery and cables out of it and our fuel tank. And all our goodies. Save our Camaro seat rest. Well, you never throw nothing away, kids. We better get this thing moved out of the way so Mojo can drag the yard. He's got the old Fordson going. All right, let's put her back and skid row. Hey, price and availability in the video description. I got too many projects. 34 Chevrolet truck isn't real high on them. You could take and put this thing on a home built chassis, put a box on the back, make a pickup out of it. That's what I would do if I would keep it. And then I would replace all the wood with steel. Put maybe a small block Chevy in it, keep the hood. Maybe like some 750 16s on the back and some 650 16s on the front, a little bit of rubber rake. Early Ford straight axle, maybe a 3-speed manual. Mint. Hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com if you want to own this 1934 Chevrolet truck. With title. Runs even. Ran when parked. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Check out our other videos. Remember, doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you're having fun. Anytime we get to do stuff with Bernie, it's a fun time. Just farming away. So I was cruising the old Bookface marketplace. Saw an ad, said old Chevy truck, take offers. Made an offer, they couldn't refuse it. Said they got a title. Said it's complete. Let's take a look at this thing. It was about an hour from home, so we hooked up the trailer, hooked on the old tow pig over there, loaded up Duff. Look at how clean the tow pig is. Mojo even washed it for us. Let's take a look at this thing. I think it's a 30, late 34. You can tell they kind of got like a rounded roof to them. They're early 34s or flat. It might be a 35 as well. I don't know. Truck grills are pretty much always painted in here. Cars can be either painted or chromed, stainless, what have you. It says he's got the headlights for it. I don't know when she was last tagged. Claims he's got a title. The May pops have popped. Kind of little rework's been done there. She's leaded, screwed together. Nobody likes these Chevrolets. They call them termite castles because they got wood in there. It's all rotted out. Looks like there was some old lettering on the doors. These Chevys, they like to use that diamond tread down there on the running boards. We're not even going to try to open that door until we get it home because you can see back there, everything's framed up in wood. And we're going to have to tie it all together so it don't come apart on the way home. Wood box, I'm guessing it doesn't dump. Yep, she's bolted solid with angle iron. Oh man, what do we got back here? We got some Ward's Riverside power grips. Oh yeah, the knobbies. She's got the big heavy overloads. Taillight's busted. I was hoping for a license plate, see how long we had her off the road. Bed floor is pretty decent. It's got a patch up there. Here comes the owner. So let's wrap it up. I'll start loading. Oh, look at that. It's got a Firestone heater in it, and it's rusted out. And some poop. And some jugs. And no seat. Here's the wood I was telling you about. That's no bueno. Oh my gosh. 88,000 miles, Duff. That's a lot of miles in this gem. Even the doors are all wood. Well, would you look at that? We made her home. The old tow pig expedition. You don't need a Cummins turbo diesel or a Dirty Max or a Power Joke. You just get yourself one of these 5.4 Tritons in a spare lunch box full of coil packs. You're good to go. Couldn't quite get enough tongue weight on it, so we had to hold her about 40 mile an hour. It was only 45 miles, so a little over an hour to get home. But yeah, that wood weighs a ton. I suppose we could have rolled her head another, you know, 1.5 feet. Then it makes it interesting to tie it down. That Mojo, look at that. He's got some new lights in there for us. And he's got a new junction box and a new breakaway and a new hitch connector and a new handle for hitch pin. Never mind his welds. That's the good side. We won't show the other side. We did take the hood off for hauling it home, so we didn't lose that. And we took the strap off the door, but I noticed this door hinge, she gone. And the firewall is blue on it. She was kind of a navy blue. Got that big ugly Carter W1 cast iron. Sure it's seized up. Asked the guy if the engine was complete. He said, yeah, it's the original owner. He wouldn't answer my question, but anyway, it looks like the Jenny is gone. Let's look at the air cleaner. Look at that cute reservoir over there. See there's those 3 canisters over there? Yeah. You'd fill those with like kerosene, I think, and there's a wick. And those are like your road flares, your signal flares. You set it on the side of the road and light those on fire and whatever, hope somebody rescues you. You know who needs rescuing? That dragonfly. That thing is a behemoth. Check it out, Duff. That's a big dragonfly. Anyway, I'm guessing this is like a 216 or a smaller version. I don't know what it is. Inline Chevy 6. I grabbed the fan, but since there's no Jenny, nothing. It's blue. It's pretty complete. Somebody took some, whatever, precaution to put some plastic over that carburetor, so maybe that's a good sign. Those freaking air cleaners are pretty cool too. I set the headlights in the shop because whatever. Can't really throw them in here. It does have side glass. Does it have back glass? I don't know. It's pretty chewy in the cowl here on both sides. Driver's doors are hard to find in this country because everybody would take them off for picking corn, because I guess you would pull it behind the corn picker or attach it to the corn picker. I don't know. There's got to be a video on the YouTube of how these guys would pick corn with these, but anyway, they always took the driver's door off. There's somewhere in the upper Midwest, there's got to be a barn full of driver's doors for old trucks because they're always freaking missing. So it's a good score right there. It is a 34. He showed me a picture of the title. He couldn't find the title. The last person, it's still in their name, and that was from, the title's from 97, so it's bounced around. So it's a 34. I can't believe how good a shape this bed is in. This is, somebody spent some time making this. Look at how they capped the ends of the boards. Capped them here. There's a tin strip up there to cap her off. Tailgate's missing. I'm guessing they were using it to just haul rubbish towards the end. Looks like the factory tailgate would drop in there. All held together by nails. Oh, speaking of that, nailed my hand. And square screws. We did pick up some other iron from him. It was an estate sale, so they were looking to clean out a bunch of stuff, so we picked up a bunch of iron. What's this, like 2.5 square tubing, some C-channel, some angle iron, some flat iron, you name it. And also there's a hitch back here, and if you could tell when I was loading it, we were trying to turn the wheel and it wouldn't turn. Well, the wheel would turn, but the front wheels didn't turn. So we had to put a bar in the spoke of the wheel to get her to turn. And it looks like they had some type of hitch on it. That's probably how they got it to where it was. Got some 720s on the back. The old Ward's Riverside power grips. He's like, yeah, they're still holding air. I'm pretty sure they're not holding air. I think they're just that rigid back in the day. These things didn't have hydraulic brakes, mechanical brakes. Everything's ran with rods. So it feels like you got brakes, but you really don't. Got an enclosed drive shaft. Looks like she's, whatever. Got a coupler, splitter, union joint, whatever there. Hey, it's got a straight pipe. Man, it goes way back there. No muffler? Man, I bet this thing really barked. Oh yeah, this door hinge is held with a nail, big old barn spike, and some number 9 wire. And I don't think there's a pin in that hinge. Oh, it does have a 3rd hinge. Maybe that's pretty much what's holding her together. Yeah. Termite castles. Looks like 14,000 pound GVW. Fuel tank under the seat. Deep treat. Must have been a, I don't know, maybe that's what they treated the bed with, why it's such good shape. Who knows? Really not much to see in here. A bunch of rotten wood. It's all over there for patterns, but if I were to do anything with this, I'd make a pickup out of it, and I would replace all the wood with steel. I'm not into these trucks because they got mechanical brakes. He did have 2 new front tires. He wanted just as much for the 2 front tires, 820s, as he wanted for the rest of the pickup truck. I was like, no, if we do anything with it, it's going to be a pickup. We're going to get it running and see how it goes. Then we're going to have to figure out steering, and we'll just run around the rims for now, because these things are smoked. Yeah, closer look at those flares. It's pretty cool. Pretty schwanky. Wish we had some plates so we knew when it was run last. All right, let's get her off the trailer. Ooh, that leaf spring is kind of all wonky. The pack is like there's some missing. Some of these brakes were cable. Yep, sure enough, so that you could steer it. Otherwise, Ford had a bunch of linkage going in the ball joints and yada yada yada. Chevy and I think Ford used, or Chrysler used cable brakes. And you know what we think of parking brake cables, so.
I got hot knife to butter.
Yeah. Let's get this off the trailer and come back another day when we got time for it. Tech tip of the day: stay off the book face marketplace, and you won't find yourself in these silly scenarios like me. Oh, we got that son of a biscuit unloaded. Bring the trailer in so Mojo can finish wiring up these clearance lights. Show them what else we got. Duff's getting a drink. It's warmish out. Look at this bench grinder. So we got this old Continental here. She's made in Taiwan. And my buddy Calvert, he helped us make this stand, turn that out in his lathe, and we just trimmed this off with a cut-off wheel. My buddy Calvert helped me make this stand. He turned that bottom plate out with his lathe, and he provided all the metal. So it's nice. It's a good stand. Because this thing vibrated so bad, I just have to have it weighted down. Well, look at this. This thing is a unit. She's an old Sioux. They made pretty common for valve grinders. Got this big heavy-duty switch in there. Look at how heavy-duty the rests are. Duff's even like, yeah, check them out. It's got these lights both on there. Old school, and they actually frickin' work. So yeah, pretty excited about that thing. God, the rests are just beastly. We need to put a new wire wheel on it, but maybe we can steal this one if they're the right shaft. Well, like, look at these little tiny puny rests. So I'll have to find a home for this one. Maybe Chin or old Mickelson Racing needs it, and we'll pass it on. She's been good. This one came from the same guy as my bench vise. Vern the vise. We're keeping Vern. The old Wilton ain't going nowhere, but this has got that. I mean, it's pretty smoothish, but I don't know. You can't beat that old Sioux. That thing's got to be probably from the 50s or the 60s. I guess this thing's probably from the 70s or the 80s. So we got that. His came with a base, kind of the same deal, an old truck drum, but it was really cobbled together. So we're going to probably just put a different plate on here to mount that Sioux on there. You going to show them what else we got there? Duffel up, I guess? Look at this. Reptile Gardens in the Black Hills. I went to school in Rapid City. This is like 425 miles away from here. 2 miles south of Rapid City. I don't know where he found this, but it's pretty cool. There used to be wall drug signs everywhere. That was like the big stopping point when you were going to see the Black Hills. When cars didn't have air conditioning, you go get free ice water and donuts if you were newlyweds. Donuts for hunters. Donuts. But yeah, that was the big stopping point, like an hour outside of Rapid City. And then a lot of this other stuff came up because of the Mount Rushmore. I can't think of it. But Reptile Gardens is something that was there. Bear Country is another one. There's just a pile of tourist traps there, so this is kind of cool. So I'll have to find somewhere to stick that up. All right. We'll see you guys in a little bit, which is probably going to be several weeks down the road when we work on that thing. Or months. Who knows? Depends on how excited Duff gets. We got that thing to work on, which you guys probably have already seen, and that thing, and a whole bunch of other things.